Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back. I am not in my garden. I'm actually at the plant store right now. I actually have a fun, busy day today. I'm in Sacramento for the day because I am actually presenting. I'm giving a talk with Michael Glassman at the Northern California Home and Garden Show. Last year, I did this same talk. We actually had a booth and I was like on the news for the show. This year, we, cut that way back just because we had all the construction going on and it was, that was taking a lot of my time. So I'm just going to do one talk later this afternoon. But I figured while I was in town, I wanted to go to Green Acres, my favorite plant store, and I wanted to get all the supplies that I desperately need for the gardening season. And I have to say, just pulling up here, it is busy. I love it when the garden center starts to get busy as the season kind of starts to wake up a little bit. Here in California, February, it's time for things to kind of start waking up. It's going to be, our last frost pretty soon. My last frost is at the end of February. So I think everybody's here just kind of prepping and getting ready for the season, which is exactly what I'm doing. So a couple of the things I have to get today, I do want to get some primrose, which I see front and center, for the pots that are by my metal workshop. And then I need to get supplies, like gardening supplies, fertilizers and sprays and different things like that. But while I'm here, I just gotta take a look. I gotta take a look and see what they have. Oh, this is exciting. Yes. Also, it's just about time for one of my absolute favorite plants. This is lilac vine, purple lilac vine. I planted this for one of my monthly blooming gardens. You guys, this is the most beautiful plant if you can plant it. It's zones 9 through 11, but it is just so gorgeous and it brings such a beautiful color to your garden at this time of year. So definitely go with that if you're in zone 9 for sure. Okay, one of the things on my list is a sharpener for all my tools, like for my trowels, for my hula hoe, all that type of stuff. I wanted to get something like this. Should I get this one? I think I'm gonna get this. This is what I wanted, just to keep things nice and sharp. So that was definitely something I wanted to do. Of course, you could get something like this at like Home Depot or something. I just didn't have one. Here is the next thing I needed, and you can see it's at the end cap because they know that a lot of us need this type of spray. So this is liquid copper and then horticulture oil, and you can see they have a Dormant spray guide, and now's the time that you can use this type of stuff, whether it's for dormant fruit trees or roses or different things like that. But anyway, let me show this so you guys can pause it if you want to read it. But anyway, it's really good. So I'm gonna get a small one of each. And then these are concentrates, right? These are not the ready to use. These are the ones that you need to dilute and put in something like this, a hose end sprayer or a pump sprayer, like something like that. Another thing that is always in my supply is BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. And this, if you all are gonna be planting geraniums, supertunias, superbenas, calibrachoas. If you're going to be planting that stuff, you need to really see if you have budworms, right? Budworms, they kind of look like that. They're the white butterflies, the cabbage moths. They will lay their eggs on all of those plants and then they will hatch and they will decimate the flowers, absolutely decimate the flowers. So there is no point for me to plant supertunias if I don't use something like this. And it's totally organic. It's an organic, I always say this wrong, not chemical. It's an organic compound that's naturally found in soil, right? And it doesn't affect pets, it doesn't affect kids. What it does is it affects the gut of these worms. They eat it, and then it changes the pH of the gut of these worms, and it basically makes them starve, basically. So this is something that I love to use. I don't need to start using it now. I need to start using it once it kind of warms up a little bit. Probably the end of March is when I start using it, and then I use it all the way up until October. I'm gonna get 2. So another spray that I really like to use in my garden is this takedown spray. And I know it seems like I'm grabbing all the Monterey brands, but that's kind of what they sell at my garden center. Captain Jack's is really good. Bonite is really good. There's a bunch of really, really good brands out there. But basically what this one is this is an insecticide miticide. Now this one works really well for spider mites and it works really well for aphids. I think in my garden, I have the concentrate, but I do want to get some of the ready to use just in case. Now I do have to say, in my garden, I follow what is called IPM, Integrated Pest Management, which means I try and not intervene with the pests unless it gets out of control and it gets to be a big, big problem. So say I have aphids on my Gara, I wouldn't start with this. If I saw aphids, this wouldn't be the first thing that I would start with. First, I would kind of leave it alone and see if the birds took care of it and the other bugs took care of it. Then I would actually get my hose out and use the mechanical nature of the hose spray to see if that could deal with the aphids and take care of the problem. And then even after a couple weeks, if the aphids are still a big issue, then I'll come in and I'll do something like this, like a miticide. So it's not like I immediately reach for something like this when I'm dealing with aphids or spider mites, but I like to have it just in case it really gets out of control. Now, when it comes to budworms, I think you just have to deal with this. I think you just have to go with Bacillus thuringiensis. Maybe it's just where I live. They're so prevalent here that if I don't spray with BT and if I don't stay on top of, I spray once a week with BT. If I don't do that, it will get out of control so quickly and I can't get it back under control. So I don't really think of using, it's still technically IPM because IPM is basically whatever the lowest level of toxicity that actually works on the problem. And this to me is the lowest level of toxicity that works on the problem. Something like this would work on budworms, but I don't need to do something like this. This works perfectly well and it actually works even better. So anyway, there's these. This is another one that's super, super important. And I have to say, sometimes you can get this at Costco for a great, great deal, but I figure I'm here, I might as well do it. So Sluggo Plus is the one you want, not Sluggo, Sluggo Plus, because Sluggo Plus will actually deal with earwigs, pincher bugs, right here, which can chew up your plants very, very quickly. Plain the blue salvia will get decimated by these guys. Helen von Stein-Lamsier will sometimes get decimated by these guys. And sometimes you'll think they're slugs and snails, but it's a lot of times it's pincher bugs or earwigs, at least in my garden. I'm just telling you guys from my experience. So if it's cold and wet and rainy, you're gonna see these type of bugs. If it's warmer, as the season goes on, you're going to see these type of bugs. So you also have to think about what time of year you're having a problem with your plants. And if it's cold and rainy, most likely it's these guys, because these guys will show up during that time of year when it's cold and when it's moist. Think about slugs, right? Like little slug trails. So this stuff works fantastic. And this is not this, right? I think it's the stuff that's the bad stuff. There's some snail bait that if a dog gets a hold of it, it will really hurt your dog. This is not that. This is totally fine. It's not going to hurt your dog at all. Dog safe, kids safe, all that kind of stuff. So this stuff is great, and you just sprinkle it around your plants that you're noticing signs of slugs and snails. But once it starts getting a little bit warmer, like for me, end of March, I just put this stuff away and I don't need it anymore. And then I know it's time for this type of stuff. You know what? I am gonna put back this and I'm gonna get the spray bottle of the copper fungicide. Same stuff. This is Captain Jack's, this is Monterey. I just like using the spray bottle for the copper because it's so much easier for me to just grab it. And I use this so infrequently that it doesn't make sense for me to dilute it and concentrate it and all that kind of stuff. So got that. And then here we go. Stump and Vine Killer and Sucker Punch. These two are fantastic, but they're very, very different, and it's very confusing because they look so similar. So basically it's a brush that you can brush on to plants. It was funny, I was talking to my agronomist, my old neighbor, Daniel, and he said that they used to sell this stuff in spray form, but it got overused so much and there was so much overspray that it could kill like entire orchards or entire fields so easily that they will only sell it in this form. So that should tell you that it's pretty intense. So the Stump and Vine Killer will actually kill the entire plant that you're trying to do. So basically I have some really old roses that are where my espalier is planted right now, and I'm still getting some suckers coming from the old roots that we haven't gotten out. So I'm using the Stump and Vine Killer on those old rose roots. I basically cut the roots off and then I use this. But then in my secret garden, I have an almond tree on my neighbor's side of the yard, and I'm getting a bunch of suckers coming over into my secret garden. I don't want to use this because if I use this, it's going to really harm my neighbor's almond tree. So I want to use this because this is not actually going to harm the tree. And then when I was pruning my pomegranate tree, a lot of you told me to use this. And actually my friend Lance, who's the tree guy, he texted me and said, I need to use this on all the suckers for my pomegranate, which is a great idea. So I'm going to get that too. Okay, so now for fertilizers, plant food. I use Proven Winners fertilizer. I love it. It's fantastic. It's specially made for Proven Winners plants, and so I always try and find that, but it's really hard to find in some garden centers. But I do want to show you guys alternate options for Proven Winners if you want to kind of if you can't get your hands on the Proven Winners stuff. So first of all, when I plant any of my plants and in my annuals, because I live in such a hot environment, I have to use so much water, and especially in containers and stuff like that and hanging baskets. So it's really important to put a water soluble heat activated fertilizer in with your plants. It makes them do so much better, especially annuals that need a lot of food. So normally I always use the Proven Winners water soluble fertilizer, but if you can't get your hands on that, I've used Osmocote Plus before, and this works really well. I really like it. This garden center, Green Acres, often recommends this one. I've never actually personally used this one, but this one is supposed to be really good. Now, when it comes to the water-soluble fertilizer, right, so like the intense fertilizer that I put on once a week, my annuals once a week, and really I should be putting on my hanging baskets twice a week, but I don't do that because that's insane. You're supposed to do it every third watering, and I just think that that's crazy, especially here in California where we have to water every day, if not twice a day. So I do once a week, and I always use the Proven Winners one because it works really well. It's perfectly formulated for those plants. I love it. Plus I get it from Proven Winners because I work for them, so it's great. But there's another one. This is the one that Green Acres always recommends when it's not available. The Proven Winners one is not available. So they always like to use this one on their super petunias, and then they have an all-purpose one, that type of stuff. I do have to say, before I got super into Proven Winners, I have used Miracle Grow, and I think it works. I think it works great. So I think it gets a bad rap because people overuse it, and then it drains down into the street drains, and then it goes into rivers, and it messes with all the rivers and all that kind of, the fish and all that kind of stuff. So you have to make sure that you use it responsibly. Any of this stuff, even this stuff, you want to make sure that you use it really responsibly. And if you use it responsibly and you don't over fertilize something or let it drain into the street, I think that that's the most important thing to recognize. Now, when it comes to Miracle Grow, one thing I will say about this is it can burn baby plants, right? You want to let your plant really grow up before you start using something like Miracle Grow because it's just so intense. Now, if I'm fertilizing something like tomatoes, any edible anything, I will go with something that I would feel somewhat comfortable eating. I mean, I wouldn't say I don't want to think about eating fish emulsion with kelp, but it's obviously organic. And so this is something that you know, I could feed my family basically. So when I talk about Miracle Grow or Proven Winners or Osmocote or anything like that, I'm talking about ornamentals. This is the type of stuff that I would use on anything that I would actually put in my mouth. I love Neptune's Harvest. I love this brand. If you guys can get your hands on this brand, it's really great. Okay, then when it comes to bagged fertilizer, in your garden center, you might have another brand, right? You might have, what is this brand called? Down to Earth, right? This is a good brand. I love Green All. EB Stone, this is the one we use, and then there's a Spoma is really great as well. And there's other ones too, but just go with what you have, basically. Now I need to get this, and I need to get this, and then I already have rose fertilizer at home, and this is the mix for the Van Winden's Secret Special Magic Rose Fertilizer Mix. You do some alfalfa, you do some Solpo Mag, and then you do an organic rose and flower food like this, which I already have this at home. I actually think I have the Espoma Rose Tone at home, and that you mix up. I'll put it on the screen, the amount you mix it up, and then you put that on your roses, and it's literally magic, you guys. So I always get that one. And then if I was going to do anything that likes acidity, I have alkaline water in my garden that we use. And so if I need to acidify anything, I will use something like this, which I already have this at home for fertilizing. I do like to fertilize my citrus. I don't fertilize my big orange trees because they're just huge. But these guys, I have a couple smaller citrus, so I like to use these. And then this is kind of like the Espoma, what do you call it? Espoma starter fertilizer. This is kind of like the same thing, has mycorrhizae in it. It helps establish root growth, because if the soil is too cold and the roots don't have the specific nutrient up right next to the root, like touching the root, then it won't grow as fast. So this, by putting it right next to the roots, it allows the plant to establish so much more quickly. And so I just love, I love using this stuff. I think if you have some really great compost and you're planting with some really great compost, it'll have that naturally in the compost. But if you're planting with kind of older soil, or maybe something that you don't think is like perfect compost, having something like this or the Espoma Sure Start is definitely going to help you. All right, so I think that's it for my supplies. This is going to cost me a pretty penny, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. Now before I leave, I want to go grab some of those primroses for sure. Pretty. Okay, I'm going to be planting the primrose by my office. I did it last year, and I did this color, and it was so beautiful. But is there another color I want to do this year? Ooh, look at that color. That's like a red burgundy. That's beautiful. Oh, look at that color. Ooh, they all look so good. Yellow would be pretty. Purple would be pretty. Ooh, I am drawn to these. And these. One last thing I want to get before I go is new gloves, and I love these. I find myself reaching for these all the time. All right, you guys, I am here and with Michael. We're at the
Northern California Home and Landscape Expo.
There you go. So we were here last year.
Yes,
we were presented last year.
Yes.
You presented the year before, and I got it on camera.
I did.
So if you guys want to see Michael's presentation, do you remember what that presentation was? Was it Art in the Garden?
No, that was this year.
Oh, this year you did.
Friday did Art in the Garden. I think it was Small Spaces.
That's it. Yeah, it's on my channel. I will link that video in the description down below. It's great. It's fantastic. And then today, of course, we're talking about solving problems in the landscape.
Absolutely, right? And promoting. We're hawking our book.
Yeah. Anybody want to buy a book? Yeah. So it's actually a lot. Last year it was raining This year is a lot busier. There's a lot more
There's a
people.
lot more people.
Yeah.
And the wind wasn't blowing off the roof.
Oh my gosh, so scary last year. Yeah, it was intense last year.
So now you have heckle and jekyll.
So we're about to get on the stage and we're going to do our presentation. I'm going to set up my camera. I won't show the whole presentation, just little clips, but it's just, it's just fun.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. Testing. Hi everyone. Welcome. My name is Janie Santos. I'm the creator of the YouTube channel Dig, Plant, Water, Repeat on my channel. I like to feature gardening, home gardening, landscape design, all this fun stuff. And a couple years ago, I met this guy, you guys probably know him.
I've always wanted to do a book on solving problems in the landscape because no matter whether you're a big piece of property, small piece of property, condominium, every single one of us, no matter who it is, has certain landscape problems.
Really, really beautiful. Another thing I want you all to think of when you're thinking about planting a tree for summer heat is thinking about whether you're choosing a deciduous or an evergreen tree. All right, we just finished. You think that went well?
I think it went really well.
You're so good at talking.
Oh, so were you. We filled the seats.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It was
fun. So for those of you who came and watched, thank you. We really appreciated it. I thought it was a really good response.
I did too.
And I feel like we're getting better and better each time. Like
Absolutely.
we're adding more information in each time.
And we sold some books.
Which is nice. Now we're going to go walk around and we're going to go look at all the booths. There's lighting here I want to see. There's
Goodwin Cole.
Oh, Goodwin Cole's here. Okay, yeah. So that's what we're going to do. I hope you all enjoyed this and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.